Last warning, if you did not claim your funeral benefit, pay close attention before you
All right, good morning, everyone. As chairman of the commission, I call this meeting of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission to order at 10 a.m. This Zoom webinar is live streamed on YouTube on the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission YouTube channel. For anyone in the public watching who would prefer to watch via a different platform than they are currently using, please visit our social media at Redistricting MI. Our live stream today includes closed captioning. Closed captioning, ASL interpretation, as well as Spanish, Arabic, and Bengali translation services will be provided for effective participation in this morning's meeting. Please email us at redistricting@michigan.gov for additional viewing options or details on accessing language translation services for this meeting. People with disabilities needing other specific accommodations should also contact redistricting@michigan.gov. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on our website, www.michigan.gov/micrc for viewing at a later date. The meeting is also being transcribed, and those closed caption transcripts will be made available and posted on the michigan.gov/micrc website, as well as written public comment submissions. There's also a public comment portal that may be viewed by visiting the website, which is once again www.michigan.gov/micrc. Members of the media who have questions before, during, or after the meeting should direct those questions to Edward Woods III, Executive Director of the Commission, at woodse3@michigan.gov. For the public watching and the public record, I'll now turn to Department of State staff to take note of the commissioners present.
Good morning, commissioners. Good to see all of you again. Commissioners, please say present when I call your name. If you are attending the meeting remotely, please announce during roll call that you're attending the meeting remotely, and unless your absence is due to military duty, announce your physical location by stating the county, city, township, or village in the state from which you're attending the meeting remotely. I will begin calling commissioners in alphabetic order, starting with Commissioner Andrade.
Present from Imlay Township, Michigan.
Commissioner Callahan. Commissioner Curry.
Present and attending remotely from Detroit, Michigan.
Commissioner Eid.
Good morning, Ms. Young. Present, remotely attending from Detroit, Michigan.
Commissioner Kellum. Commissioner Lang.
Present, attending from Reed City, Michigan.
Commissioner Lett.
Present, attending from Grand Traverse County.
Commissioner Muldoon.
Present, Carlton, Michigan.
Commissioner Orton.
Present, attending remotely from Battle Creek, Michigan.
Commissioner Zatella.
Present, attending remotely from Wayne County, Michigan.
Commissioner Villette.
Present, attending remotely from Delta County in Michigan's beautiful Upper Peninsula.
Commissioner Wagner. Commissioner Weiss.
Present, attending remotely from Saginaw Township, Saginaw, Michigan.
Mr. Chair, you have 10 commissioners present. You do have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young.
You're welcome.
We'll now move to adopt the agenda. As a reminder to the public watching, you can view today's agenda on our website, www.michigan.gov/MICRC. I'll now entertain a motion to approve this morning's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Weiss to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion on the matter? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve today's agenda, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 Any opposed, please raise your hand and say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it, and the agenda is adopted.
Chair, before we move on, I would like to acknowledge for the record that Commissioner Callahan has joined us. Commissioner Callahan, can you please state where you're joining remotely from?
Present, joining the meeting from Mexico.
Wonderful. Welcome, Commissioner Callahan. Next on the agenda is item 4, public comments. Individuals who have signed up and indicated they would like to provide live remote public comments to the commission will now be allowed. I will call your name and our staff will unmute you. If you are on a computer, you will be prompted by the Zoom app to unmute your microphone and speak. If you are on the phone, a voice will say the host wants you to speak and prompt you to press *6 to unmute. I will call you by your name or the last 4 digits of your phone number. Please note if you are experiencing technical or audio issues or we do not hear from you for a few seconds, we will move on to the next person in line and return to you when they are done speaking. If your audio still does not work, you can email us at redistricting@michigan.gov and we will troubleshoot so you can participate during the next public comment period at a later meeting. Today, you'll have 90 seconds to address the commission, and please conclude your remarks when you hear the timer.
Chair, before we call our first public comment participant, I would like to acknowledge for the record that Commissioner Kellum has joined. Commissioner Kellum, can you tell us where you're joining remotely from?
Good morning, attending remotely from Detroit, Michigan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young, and welcome to Commissioner Kellum. We have 3 folks who signed up for public comment today, the first being Mr. Anthony Scannell.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning, MICRC. Thank you so much. Happy to speak with you guys, and I guess the court adopted that, so that's great and all well and good. Hopefully, no more challenges. And so, looking at the agenda, and I guess I'm interested in outreach 5E under new business. I mean, I'd be interested to see how many people were reached or whatever. My thought was for all the social media and interviews, was there ever a highway billboard? I mean, I don't know if those cost too much, but I mean, that's how I would think, you'd reach a lot of people. But anyway, that was just my thought. I'm interested in the final report, and I have an issue with the way it's being presented. I'm pretty sure in the Constitution it says that a report that explains the basis on which you made your decisions. And if it's just a barrage of data, I mean, there's got to be a conclusion section, an explanation. That's a report, not just a bunch of data. And then obviously I'm always concerned about party affiliation. I mean, who knows if you guys still affiliate the way you said you did 4 years ago. I don't think people should. Did you take in new information in the last 4 years and you still want to affiliate with these parties? There's something going on there. Okay, have a good one.
Thank you, Mr. Scannell. We appreciate your comments. Next up to provide comment is Dr. Crane.
That participant is not present.
All right, we will then move on to Mr. James Gallant.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Good morning, Mr. Gallant.
All righty, good morning. Thank you very much. James Gallant, Marquette County Suicide Prevention Coalition. These are opinions. Mr. Ede, we're coming in fast on the part about to go into the Michigan Supreme Court to get these rules of procedure figured out and what is the common law parliamentary procedure in Michigan of the United States of America. And as I was asking before, please conduct a public hearing concerning the rules of procedure and how unanimous consent is not appropriate for public bodies in Michigan, according to Mike Brady on September 17th, 2020, when he said, you must make a motion, second that motion before that brings the business before the commission. And as you can see, if we can resolve this, you and I, we can resolve this for the communities because it says right here in the title for unanimous consent. I'm asking you to read this onto the record, page 49. It says adoption of a motion or action without a motion by unanimous consent. So there is no motion. Mike Brady said you have to have a motion in a second. So it's my understanding that unanimous consent is not appropriate for public bodies in Michigan because you're just winging it and you cannot prove that anybody actually agrees with you, and it's all bullying. You're just making them do it and they're afraid of you. That is what is wrong with America. You have to have one question, an immediate question, and then they get to vote yes or no. And I think that we can resolve this if you could just get us a public hearing, and any of you other members that are concerned about people killing themselves over the stress involved at this meeting, I'm trying to prevent your suicides, okay? Because when you figure out that you have actually destroyed our constitutional republic by this Marxist style communism and consensus decision making, having the discussion first. You work up a proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Gallup, for addressing the commission. We do appreciate your comments. All right, that concludes today's portion for the public comment portion for today's meeting. Please feel free to email public comments to the commission at redistricting@michigan.gov. We appreciate everyone who offers public comment in whatever way you choose and invite you to keep sharing your thoughts. We'll now move on to agenda item 5, unfinished business. First up is 5A, State of Michigan Archives. If there is no objection, commissioners, I'll ask Executive Director Woods to present this item. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we will move on. Mr. Woods, you have the floor.
Thank you, Commissioner Ede, and welcome, commissioners. I'm very happy to have two friends, Karen Wolfsick and Cynthia Gehring, who will present about the archives as relates to the requirements of the state of Michigan and what we're doing in terms of working with the archives, ensuring our records are preserved and can also be used for research, study, best practices, and most importantly, to keep an accurate record of what the commission has done. I would like to thank our archive committee, who we have working with us, and it's Cynthia Orton, Janice Villette, and Elaine Andrade. I want to thank them for all their hard work and efforts in terms of making sure that we do this accurately and correctly. So without further ado, let me introduce our two gurus and outstanding friends in state government who are helping us with this archive project and getting us excited and trying to make us believers in how great archiving can be as a profession, none other than Cynthia Gehring and Karen Wolfsick. Thank you so much for being here, ladies.
Thank you for having us. I think in our show, Karen goes first.
Yes, thank you for inviting us to join you today. I am Karen Wojcik with the Michigan Department of Technology Management and Budget Records Management Services. I'm going to share my screen with you as I talk. Let's see. Hopefully you are seeing our website. Cynthia, can you nod? Yes, no? Okay, good. Okay. So Records Management Services, we provide services to Michigan state and local government agencies about their record keeping practices and promoting good record keeping. One of the ways we do that is through the development, review, and approval of a legal document called a Records Retention and Disposal Schedule. This schedule is required by Michigan law to identify all the records that are created and maintained by a Michigan government agency. They identify how long the records will be kept, and they provide the legal authorization to dispose of those records. There are two disposition methods. They can either be destroyed or they can be transferred to the Archives of Michigan for permanent preservation. We have two types of schedules that we use in Michigan government. They are general schedules that cover records that can be commonly found in many offices, and then agency-specific schedules that identify the records that are unique to a particular government agency. Now, these schedules are reviewed and approved by my office, Records Management Services, by the Archives of Michigan, by the Department of Attorney General, if they are a state government agency, by the Office of the Auditor General, again, if they are a state government agency, and then all schedules are approved by the Michigan State Administrative Board. Since the State Administrative Board is the final approving entity, their approval date is the effective legal date of the document. Any records not listed on a schedule cannot be destroyed because there is no authorization for their destruction. Now, this commission does have a schedule that was developed several years ago, and it is available on our intranet site, which is only accessible to state employees, not to the general public. And so it is under the Department of State, and we have it here. So, this schedule covers the records that are maintained by the commission. Most of the records, the commission decided that it wanted to keep them for 12 years, which would cover one redistricting cycle plus a couple other years, so that the next commission taking over would have the benefit of the information that the previous commission had done. And then most of the records get transferred to the Archives of Michigan for permanent preservation. This schedule can be revised at any time if the commission starts to create new records and needs to have them added to the schedule, or if its decisions about its record keeping practices change. And our office will help with that review and revision and get the revised schedule approved. And that's all I have to report on our records management activities. I guess just also to say we provide a lot of other services, including education and guidance documents to help with the management of records. And I'll pass it over to Cynthia to talk about what the Archives of Michigan does when they get the records.
Okay, so I have quite a bit to show. So I did some slides with screen captures just so I could get through it all in a timely manner. The first thing we've got it's just a brief introduction of the Archives of Michigan. We were established in 1913 by a public act. We're the official repository of Michigan's historical, state, and local government records. We have over 110,000 cubic feet. You can see here in this picture of us in the stacks. We have lots of these kind of secure stacks. 9.5 million digital records. It increases every day as we do more and more of our business is born digital records. And we catalog and make accessible our collections. We have over 6,000 in WorldCat, and we have over 14 million historical records available in Michiganology. And I'm going to talk real briefly about these things. So when looking at the Michigan Independent Redistricting Commission's records, we are thinking in terms of preservation, preserving those records, and access. And we kind of broke it down into 4 groups when we were talking with Edward and the subcommittee. There are the websites. A lot of information about the commission was provided and published online through the websites. There are all the digital files. Most of the work that you all have done has been born digital, therefore no paper copies of it. And social media, a lot of communication via social media feeds. And then there's the overarching collection, which does include some paper and publications. And we did we shared with Edward a review of the schedules, the record series that Karen just talked about, and what we found on the website and what we're still looking for in terms of records and how to work with your group to find those. When we go to archives, since so much of this commission's work is online and digital, it's pretty exciting for us. We deal with records, you know, from the 1800s, 1700s we have here to the present. It's fun to do like a totally online collection. I try to tell Edward how exciting it is all the time. Okay, we use a tool called Archive It to do website archiving. We're already archiving the commission's website. We have it going back to 2020 and then even pages when it was just part of the Secretary of State's website. We use the Wayback Machine service to preserve it. We have access through the Michigan Government Web Collection, and we're going to make one specific for the Redistricting Commission because we think there will be enough interest in it, which will have all of the preserved websites, which will look like, oops, I'm very sorry. We're I have links in here in case anybody wants to explore this. I can share it with Edward. When you go to look at the archived pages, it does have a banner up here saying that this is a historical page saved in the Wayback Machine. And you can see one of the earliest websites to a more recent website. All of this information, including all of these links and the records that they link to, are all going to be archived that way. So that's one way we're going to do it. Another way is that we're going to actually preserve the files. So just from the website alone, there's almost 3,000 digital files that the commission has provided access to over the years. A short amount of time, I should say, over 3,000. We're going to use the Preservica system. It is a digital preservation system. Michigan was one of the first states to adopt using it. And then we use Michiganology as an online portal to that material. So whether it's an old historical item that we scanned and make accessible, or if it's something that was born digital, like these minutes, it's going to be accessible at an item level through Michiganology and Preservica. And we're almost done. The social media feeds. The commission has done a lot of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of these things. We use Archive Social to preserve the social media from the government. We will have a separate portal like we do for the Michigan governors. We only have Snyder in there at this time because Whitmer is still in office, and when she is no longer in office, we'll have her collection as well. We're going to add a dedicated collection for the Redistricting Commission and all of the social media that you have provided, things like the YouTube, not always captured by the Internet Archive. So this way we make sure that we've got it in various places. And last but not least, the whole collection. There will be the paper records added. Edward's already brought redistricting maps and reports here, which we've accessioned. We will have a collection, several collection records available in our online catalog. It's called WorldCat. It is used by all the major universities, public libraries. It's a standard. And there's also a tool called Archives Grid that we're also going to be making sure that this collection is. So the point is, even if we do the original catalog record, it will be accessible all over, globally, internationally. And that is my really quick presentation on archiving.
All right, well, thank you for that presentation. It looks like we have a couple questions. Commissioner Lett.
Yes, I had a question regarding the mapping program that has been used, and I don't know how that's going to be preserved, but I know that some of the mapping was actually hosted by Amazon. And is so that's my question. Does that continue on once we are all done? And how are they going to preserve some of the maps that we went through? I mean, there were 20, 30 iterations of one map. So that's my question.
Edward, do you want to answer or do you want me to?
Well, go ahead, Cynthia, because I know you know better. Obviously, we also have contracts, so we'll definitely be following our contracts with regards to that. But you know, I think you could go ahead and share the proposals that we received and what we thought was best.
Okay, so it's really important when you're working with proprietary software like the redistricting map. And as you guys are very well aware, it's a complex program that links up the comments to the various iterations of the map. There's a lot going on. It's proprietary. Edward set up a meeting with the folks that develop and own that software, which was really helpful. And we talked about how we can export data out and archive the data so it can be recreated as more of a flat file as opposed to the interactivity that you see right now using the proprietary software. The important part is that the comments, the links to where the comments were pinpointed to, as well as the maps at different stages will be preserved. The dynamic interactive portion of that software, we can't recreate. It does not archive well using Archive It because it's all database generated, but a researcher could replicate it from the data that we'll export out in a CSV file, which we will preserve in Preservica, and it will be accessible. So without continuing that contract with the software, it is very hard to make it look exactly the way it does now when it's archived.
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying, at some point in time, we can stop sending money to Jeff Bezos.
They will not be needed for this when we go to archive it, correct.
Thank you.
Right. And Cynthia, correct me if I'm wrong, but the archive would just be a permanent record. They will not be able to interact with the software and things like they did before, but it'll be a permanent record of what the commission has done and approved.
Yep, that's correct.
Commissioner Lett, did that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Andrade, Commissioner Orton, or Commissioner Villette, is there anything that you all would like to share from the meeting or from the presentation? I'm really grateful for your participation and willingness to serve on this committee.
I don't really have anything to add, but I just think it's great that we have people that are so enthusiastic about archiving that are doing this, that see the value in preserving what was done here. Thank you.
I have a question about how the material can be accessed for the next commission. Is there, because it's a lot of material, especially given that it's all digital, and we might have commissioners next time around who might not be the best with digital records and communications. How can this be accessed by those folks?
So by archiving it and using the systems that we're proposing, it will be retrievable. Almost, we do need to do some description and cataloging, but it will be totally accessible before the next commission is ready, if not much sooner. What we do is we have, I cut the slide. I did not put the slide in about how many people we have that use the collections. So we're open 6 days a week. We have staff here. We always answer our phone, and we get thousands of emails. So whether you are a member of the public or you are a commissioner needing access to it, we provide that immediately. And we will work with the next executive director to make sure that that whatever records are needed to start up the next commission are available and ready to go from the very beginning. So we'll be making sure they're preserved for future generations and for the next 10 years to the next cycle.
Wonderful, thank you. Any other questions for our guest commissioners? Well, I do not see any. I'd like to thank Cynthia and Carlin for coming through and giving us that presentation. Certainly helpful, and hopefully everyone knows a little bit more about archiving now. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks again for inviting us.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the next item of business, item 5B, commission records. If there is no objection, I'll ask Executive Director Woods to present this item. Are there any objections, commissioners? Seeing none, we'll proceed. Mr. Woods, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioner E. Let me share my screen. I believe you're able to see my screen. Is that correct?
Yes, we can see
Great.
it.
As we already know, the commission is wrapping up its work, and just want to remind you with regards to our commission records that it's time to start organizing and package your paper files into a file box. If you need file folders and labels, you can buy those from your Walmart or Myers or whatever store you use, and to organize your files. As it relates to boxes, we can get those from the state of Michigan, but we're going to need you to probably get started with organizing and packaging your files as it relates to records. I want to remind you, we're not to destroy or throw away anything, but as it relates to these files, we need you to do it. I know some people have already started. I'm sending information in. And so if you need boxes, let me know. There's a particular box the state uses, excuse me, to preserve the files. And so I want to make sure if we have to mail them to you, that we can get them mailed. But this is going to be, depending on how much you have, it might be not a long process for you. But for those who may have more files or additional files, it always helps if you can start the process now and not wait till the last minute with regards to getting this information done. I also like to encourage you to do the same as relates to the electronic files, as relates to your computer and which you have stored so that they can be accessible. As you know, we have to preserve our records. And so just want to encourage you that your electronic files are stored as well and organized. We don't want like a bunch of things on the desktops or just randomly placed, but if there's a way that you can organize your electronic files on your computer, it would be helpful as well. When we get to dormancy, we will share with you the process of how to return your computer and your cell phone back to the state, but just want to get you thinking about it and the process of doing it, because if you have more lead time, it will not be so overwhelming when the deadline gets here. If there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Commissioners, are there any questions for Mr. Woods? Commissioner Callahan.
So anything we've stored on the OneDrive, we don't have to worry about, the state already has that?
Correct. I'm just hoping that it's organized if you can.
It's in a folder called Micker, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, commissioners, and thank you, Mr. Woods. Next on the agenda is unfinished business item 5C, Draft House and Senate Remedial Commission Report. Without objection, I'll ask Executive Director Woods to present this item. Is there any objection, commissioners? Seeing none, please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Thank you. Just want to remind you that we're in the process of putting together the draft House and Senate remedial report. Right now, we're adding the information since the court approved the Crane A1 plan. We're adding the Senate information with regards to that to the report. We'll be updating the forward as it relates to the report. And we'll also be adding the reports done by the students from the University of Michigan in the appendix. So the appendix will have the court order. The appendix will have the court, all of the legal documents, or I should say the legal orders from the court will be as part of the appendix, as well as the information from the University of Michigan students will be in the appendix as well. And then, as you know, we have dissenting reports, and anyone that would want to submit a dissenting report, whether it's for the House or the Senate, I sent out the information as to who's eligible to submit a dissenting report. Just want to remind you that that information is due December 1st. As a result, the goal is for the commission, once again, the goal is for the commission to approve this report at its December meeting, and that will take place on Thursday, December 19th. So once again, just want to remind you, if you are submitting a dissenting report based upon the commission's vote at the last meeting, that is due Sunday, December 1st. So if you email that to me, and copy the commission clerk, which would be the MDOS, Megan Shar in particular, on December 1st with regards to that information, that will be appreciated. Once again, the commission does not vote, I repeat it, does not vote on anything with regards to anyone that submits a dissenting report, but it does vote on approving the commission report. And that vote will take place on Thursday, December 19th. If there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Mr. Woods, you sent us a document of the 2024 report on redistricting as it currently is configured. Is that the final minus the dissenting reports, or is there still going to be, you mentioned at the beginning
well, we have to add the information from the Senate, so that document
right
is not, it's in draft form. So I just want to make sure we're all clear that it's in draft form. Obviously, we're adding it so that it could be in a readable format and format it correctly. And then obviously we're working with our attorneys to make sure that it documents the process, it dots the I's across the T's. But just so everyone is clear that it will not be a final report until the commission votes, and that will not take place until December 19th.
Wonderful. Thank you for that clarification. All right. Any other questions about the commission report? All right. I don't see any. Thank you, Mr. Woods, for presenting that and for helping put together this report. I'm sure as it comes together and as we get to the more final copy that the commission will vote on in a few months, the public will be very pleased about it. Next up is unfinished business item 5D, settlement agreement. If there is no objection, commissioners, I'll ask Commissioner Lett, in addition to local counsel, Mr. Fink, to facilitate this item. Are there any objections? Seeing none, Commissioner Lett, Mr. Fink, welcome. You may proceed.
Hey, everybody. I'll give a brief overview on this. The court has entered final order approving all of the House and Senate plans. There's the settlement agreement as it pertains to attorney fees has been reached. The amount to be paid to Clark Hill, the law firm Clark Hill, and to Attorney Bursch is $1,817,371.86. obviously, if you do this kind of work, you want to be on the side that gets paid by the people that have all the money. In addition to that, 14,000 is paid to Dr. Groffman for the House remedial, the Senate remedial, and Dr. Groffman for the House remedial was 24,352.50. So, excuse me, once the order's entered, I believe it has been entered, the payment is to be made within 90 days. Since we have received our funding, that will not be an issue. I believe that is, unless somebody has questions of me, I think Nate can fill in the detail. Take it away, Council.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner/Council. I think Commissioner Lett summed it up pretty well. The commission back on April 25th, I believe.
Breaking up a little bit, Mr. Fink.
I think he's stuck.
Yeah, we lost him. Let's give him a moment, see if he pops back on.
Edward, I think we need to pay the Fink Law Firm so they can pay their internet bill.
Well, the good news is we have processed payment thanks to the governor and the legislator signing our supplemental. So hopefully this will just be a temporary injunction. How about that?
Well, while we're waiting for him to come back on, if anybody has a question, they can ask it and I'll see if I know the answer to it.
Give it another minute or two, and if he's not back, we'll move on to the next agenda item.
I did just receive an update that Mr. Fink is trying to rejoin the meeting right now, so hopefully it'll just be another minute.
Wonderful. Thank you for that update.
Just so the commission is aware with regards to the settlement, because we received the supplemental budget, we'll be paying part of the settlement in this fiscal year's budget. And what we're not able to accommodate in this fiscal year's budget will go to the next fiscal year's budget. Just so people may be aware, okay, where's this money coming from? How are we doing this? Do we need to request another supplemental? The answer is no. Whatever we don't cover in this fiscal year will be covered in the fiscal year 25 budget of the commission. And we planned for that. So that was, intentional in nature. And by having the 90 days, we're able to use this current year's budget as well as next year.
Hi, everyone. I'm back. Can you hear me?
We can, Mr. Fink. Welcome back.
Okay, I apologize. I apologize for having a bit of an internet connection here, issue here. Um, so, um, and if you pass, I don't want to intrude if you moved on to a different agenda. But can I continue, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please proceed.
Okay. And I'm keeping my screen off because of this connection issue. And you're welcome. You don't have to see my smiling face. I Are you able to hear me? I don't know if
We can hear you.
okay, all right. So I'll talk fast, but not too fast for the interpreters. What I was saying was Commissioner Lett summed it up well. We reached an agreement which the commission already approved in April on April 25th, excuse me, April 25th of this year. The court has approved that agreement, and payment will be issued within the next 90 days. Pursuant to the agreement that was reached, which we believe saved the commission significant amounts of money that the court otherwise could have ordered the commission to pay to the plaintiffs as the prevailing parties in the AG litigation. I really don't have anything else to add. Like I said, Commissioner Lett summed it up well. And if you had what I was saying, and I don't know if this had come through before, we had a lengthy discussion about this back in April, on April 25th. So if anybody's interested in reviewing that or looking back at that, you could go and take a look at that meeting. But we don't really have anything else to add substantively. But the agreement has been finalized and approved by the court. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Commissioner Lett or for Mr. Fink? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. Thank you for the information. Next on the agenda is item 5E, outreach for House and Senate remedial phase. If there's no objection, I'll ask Mr. Woods to present this item. Is there any objection, commissioners? Seeing none, once again, Mr. Woods, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioner Eid and the commission. Just want to share with you, there was 3 phases as relates to the outreach during the remedial phase of the maps for the House as well as the Senate. We reestablished or got rebooted our commission, our communications outreach team. And the ones that consistently participated is Access, Detroit Hispanic Development Corporation, the League of Women Voters, the Michigan AFL-CIO, Michigan Voices, NAACP Michigan, the state chapter, and Voters Not Politicians. And so what we did was we did 3 phases. We did drawing the maps, education on the maps, and selecting a map. So when it came to the House phase, we did what we used 2 firms, McConnell Communications, who did our media interviews as well as our community outreach. And then at the time we used 98 Forward, who did our social media and our non-traditional media outreach. We did that to get people to understand with regards to the phase of drawing the maps as it relates to the House in terms of giving feedback to the commission to draw the maps. If you remember when we did the drawing of the maps, we were at Huntington Place with regards to that. And then we went from Huntington Place to the Cadillac Place in January as it relates to drawing the maps. Then we did education through our community outreach and presentations. And then we also did a selecting the maps. And if you remember, as it relates to selecting the maps, we had 2 public hearings, one at Greater Grace and one at Second Ebenezer. Once again, thanks to Mike Brady for his assistance in terms of setting those up. So we did those through presentations. We did not do billboards. However, we did use the newspapers both community newspapers as well as the Detroit Free Press, especially on the Sunday edition with regards to alerting people. We did presentations. And we also did Redistricting 301, Redistricting 301, which was published in English, which was published in Spanish, and published in Arabic and Bengali with regards to that, and also produced flyers with regards to that. So that's how we, with regards to what we did with the House. From the House, we took upon lessons learned, and we created a partnership with the McConnell Communications, and they in turn requested, and we hired Dr. Yvette McElroy Anderson, who is instrumental as the lead of the Family Lou Hamer Project with regards to Detroit, to make sure that we were doing a deep dive in terms of getting to Detroit residents. And there was an education process where we asked for commissioners to participate and present across Metro Detroit and the districts with regards to remediation for the House, which was previously done, but in this case with regards to the Senate and getting more people engaged and involved as relates to the Senate remedial process. Some of you were willing to participate and some of you elected not to participate as relates to the education process during that phase. I sent you the information so that you know who did participate and the outreach. There was specific outreach across the entire Wayne County, including Western Wayne County. I specifically spoke for the Western Wayne NAACP in Belleville. I know Commissioner Eid did some speaking. We did advertising. We did radio advertising, both during the House and the Senate phases across Metro Detroit, across different genres of music. Because of our relationship with the Michigan Association of Broadcasters with regards to getting that discounted rate. We also advertised in the Michigan Chronicle, and because of our relationship with the Michigan Press Association, we were able to get that as well as the discounted rate. We did interviews, as I shared in presentations. We did that in the drawing of the map phase as it relates to the Senate remedial, and we also did it again when it came to selecting a map. And so if you remember when we drew the maps, we went to Warren to talk about that at the Warren Community Center with regards to that. In Oakland, we were at the Pearls Event Center, and in Wayne County, we were at Wayne State University. And then when it came to selecting a map, we did our public hearings at the high schools right there in the neighborhoods. We were at Cass Tech, we were at Renaissance, and we were at King. So there was an all-out effort in terms of being fiscally responsible and diligent as relates to the outreach, to be inclusive so that everyone that wanted to participate could participate. And when you look at the records, you saw the number of impressions with regards to the social media, with regards to people being aware, with regards to the targeted outreach to young people as well as to seniors. You saw that Detroit Area Agency on Aging, which serves the Metro Detroit, was reaching out with a targeted message with regards to seniors to participate. And so there's always room for improvement, but I do want to share with you the efforts that were made to be inclusive, far-reaching, and to repeat the message, because sometimes it takes people 2 to 3 times to hear the message in a different way in order to get them to respond. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the commissioners who participated in the outreach, were willing to do so. To thank them. There was a lot of commissioners that participated. Our chair was very instrumental in doing a number of outreach presentations. And so just want to acknowledge that. I know Commissioner Orton also was instrumental because she was chair during the House phase with regards to a number of outreach participation. So just want to thank those two in particular, but all the commissioners who participated and with regards to the education and outreach phase to get public comment or solicit public comment for the House remedial plan as well as the Senate remedial plan. If there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Any questions for Mr. Woods? I don't see any.
All right, and then for the Senate, I just want to highlight that we used McConnell Communications again for the communication outreach in the media, and we used Colthrid Public Relations that did the tech talks that Commissioner Kellum participated in, and some other things with regards to social media and non-traditional media. cultural communications. Thank you again. And thank you again, commissioners, for the assistance. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. There were a number of spreadsheets that went out that covered exactly who did what and what the earned media coverage was. So I recommend everyone take a look at that as well. We will move on to new business, item 6. First on the agenda is new business item A, dedication of House and Senate Remedial Commission reports. If there's no objection, commissioners, I'll ask Commissioner Lett to present this item. Are there any objections? Seeing none, Commissioner Lett, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman Eid. I was thinking the other day about the report and how it's going to be presented, etc. And thinking also about at least my good friend, and I think the good friend of a number of commissioners on the commission, about Doug Clark, who passed away during the proceedings of the commission from the very beginning until Doug passed away. He was very instrumental in working, I'll say, across the party lines, as well as being very involved in various subcommittees with his expertise from the business world. And I felt it would be appropriate to acknowledge that some way. So my motion, and I'll make the motion and then we can have a discussion if need be, is that in some manner in the pages of the report, I would assume at the start, that we would put some type of acknowledgement. I don't know that I want to have a dedication of the report, but acknowledgement of the work and the contribution that Doug made to the commission. Doesn't have to be anything that is overly glowing, but certainly I think an acknowledgement would be appropriate. So that's my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to have an acknowledgement for the late Commissioner Doug Clark be put into the commission's report. Is there any discussion on the matter? Commissioner Lang, I see your hand.
This is for the remedial report, correct? Or is this for?
Correct. It's the only one we're doing that I know.
Okay, so the report on the remedial maps.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to say, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I'm against it. Commissioner Clark was no longer a part of the process when that happened. Commissioner Clark also moved for the appeal to the Supreme Court. And I just don't think it's appropriate to be putting specific commissioners, a dedication to any commissioner on the work that was done by everybody. And if that was the case, then I would also recommend a dedication to Commissioner Zatella, because had it not been for her standing up for the rights of people whose constitutional rights were violated, I don't know, we may not have done the remedial. I mean, let's be honest, we may not have had the remedial maps. So I understand he was your friend, and I understand the sentiment behind it. I believe he's been acknowledged repeatedly since his passing. I just don't think it's appropriate to do. And that's just my personal opinion. Like I said, I'm sure it's an unpopular opinion, but the work was done by a lot of people, and it was a commission as a whole. So I'm opposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lang. I see Commissioner Zatello.
Yeah, I would just echo Commissioner Lang's comments and thank you, Commissioner Lang, for recognizing my efforts to get these maps redrawn so that Detroiters had fair maps. I appreciate that. I just think that if we're dedicating a report to somebody, that person should have had a role or an effort in adding to the result of that report. In the case of Mr. Clark, in my opinion, at every step along the way, he actually stood in the way of getting these maps redrawn, and he tried to barricade it happening. And the last act he wanted to take as a commissioner was to continue that behavior of trying to barricade the constitutional rights of Black voters by appealing and moving for a stay. And so I just think it really, in my
Point
opinion,
of order. Only because this person is no longer here and family members, et cetera, could be listening. And I think Commissioner Zatello, you are perfectly, allowed to state your opinion, but I think it gets to be a very tricky and possibly a triggering area to speak not so positively about someone in their death. So I think we should just be sensitive to that.
Thank you, Commissioner Kellum. Yeah, let's not try to guess the motives of people who have passed away, please. But please continue, Commissioner Zatello.
well, I'm not guessing at his motives. I'm looking at his actions. He wanted to appeal. He wanted to stay. He voted to not change the maps back in December 15th of 2021. Or I'm sorry, not December 15th, December 27th of 2021. And so there were a lot of steps that he took along the way to really stand in the way of this result happening. And so I do think it's actually insulting to the people of Detroit. I think it's insulting to the plaintiffs to try to dedicate maps to someone who actively opposed them being redrawn. So, and I appreciate some people have strong feelings and positive feelings towards Mr. Clark on this commission, but that does not change the fact that this was not a result he wanted, and he stood in the way of it happening. And I just think it's a disservice to the people of Detroit and the plaintiffs to suggest and give him a dedication for something that he opposed.
Thank you, Commissioner Zatello. Commissioner Orton.
I think Steve made it clear that it's not dedicated to Doug. I think it's dedicated to the citizens of Michigan, but just kind of a memorial or something for Doug. I think it's a nice idea, and lots of us voted for the appeal, not just Doug. So I am for the idea.
Commissioner Zatello, is your hand still up?
Yeah, I would just say, as Commissioner Lang pointed out, we have multiple times already made dedications to Commissioner Clark. So he's already had dedications to him. This just, again, isn't necessary, and it's just tone deaf to the people of Detroit.
Are there any other comments?
Yes, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Mr. Woods.
Yeah, I just want to share, with regards for the record, because I had the privilege of working with Commissioner Clark as chairperson and vice chairperson. He was always about operations, in terms of following process. As the commission knows, he's responsible for the matrix that we have, the committee set up, the structure with regards to the operation process. And I just think that should be noted with regards to that. Even though the commission was found in violation by the Court of the Establishment Clause, Commissioner Clark, in his conversations with me, before he decided to resign, he was ready to say, this is what we need to do. This is the process, in terms of working that out. So we would be remiss if we did not share the complete story as terms of what he shared with me, as relates to the process. And, he was removed, or I should say he resigned, as over the residency issue. But I just want to be clear with regards to, the record, that he was more than willing to do whatever needed to be done within the parameters of the law, to satisfy the court requirements. So just kind of want to make that clear for the record, since he is not here to speak for himself as relates to what he shared with me. Thank you.
I'll just add that, and I'm sure many folks have this opinion, but Commissioner Clark, the late Commissioner Clark, made me a better commissioner. You made me a better chairman too. I often think when making decisions here, what would Doug do if in this position? And certainly made me a better commissioner. And in my opinion, that makes him eternally a part of this process. We'll go to Commissioner Lett and then back to Commissioner Zatello.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to kind of clarify, my motion is to acknowledge the work and contributions that Doug made to the commission from, as I said, day one until he was no longer on the commission. The only purpose for putting it in the remedial is that's what we're doing right now. We can't go back and put it in the first report. So this report's here. It'll just be a page acknowledging Doug and his contribution to the commission. He's passed away. I think it's a nice acknowledgement. I'm not going to comment on these other comments. I'm not trying to do anything other than have him acknowledged. And with that, I'll call the question.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Lett. The question has been called. That requires a 2/3 vote of the commission to end discussion, so we can move to vote. Department of State, if we could take that vote, please.
Was there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, commissioners, the motion is to call the question and end any discussion on the pending motion. It was moved by Commissioner Lett, supported by Commissioner Callahan. I will call your name in alphabetical order. If you would like to end discussion, it would be a yes vote. If you want to continue discussion, it would be a no vote. Commissioner Andrade.
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Commissioner Curry.
Yes.
Commissioner Eid.
Yes.
Commissioner Kellum.
Yes.
Commissioner Lang.
No.
Commissioner Lett.
Yes.
Commissioner Muldoon.
Yes.
Commissioner Orton.
Yes.
Commissioner Zatella.
No.
Commissioner Billette. I actually believe we lost Commissioner Billette. My apologies. Commissioner Weiss.
Yes.
With a vote of 9 yes to 2 no, the question is called.
Thank you, Department of State. Question is called and discussion on the motion is ended. We will now move to vote on the original motion made by Commissioner Lett. Department of State, if we could restate the motion and then do a vote.
Absolutely. The motion before the commission is to put an acknowledgement of the work and contributions made by Commissioner Clark to the commission in the House and Senate Remedial Commission report. It was moved by Commissioner Lett, supported by Commissioner Weiss. Once again, I will call your names in alphabetical order. Please state your vote yes or no. We'll start with Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Commissioner Curry.
Yes.
Commissioner Eid.
Yes.
Commissioner Kellum.
Yes.
Commissioner Lang.
No.
Commissioner Lett.
Yes.
Commissioner Muldoon,
Yes.
Commissioner Orton,
Yes.
Commissioner Zatella,
Yeah, I'm gonna vote no, because in my opinion, he was a bigot and a misogynist and did not follow our rules. So I don't believe he deserves to be honored. So that's a no.
Hold on, Commissioner Zatella, you are out of order. Please cut it out, straight up. When disrespecting someone who passed away, please.
I am not a
Department of State,
child and you
please.
will not speak to me that way.
You're against your, all right. Please proceed, Department of State. Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss,
Definite yes.
Commissioner Andrade.
Yes.
With a vote of 9-2, the motion approves.
Thank you, Department of State. Okay, we'll now move on to new business. Item 6B, July financial reports. Without objection, I'll ask Mr. Woods to facilitate this item. Is there any objections, commissioners? Please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Commissioner Kellum had her hand up. I don't know if she wants to speak or not speak, but it was up.
Oh, I didn't see it. Commissioner Kellum.
It might be worthless. I just wanted to apologize to Commissioner Clark's family on behalf of that comment that was just made and members of the public. We are a body of individuals, but when certain individuals speak, I do not want it to be misconstrued that that person, or I don't care who it is, their individual opinions represent the whole. So my apologies to Commissioner Clark's family, because that was cruel. And I almost want to leave this meeting because that was disgusting.
Thank you, Commissioner Kellum. We're going to be moving on now. July financial report, Mr. Woods.
Thank you. Is everyone able to see my screen? I'm trying to get it as large as possible, but it's pretty big to get it to fit on one page and still be able to read it. Just want to share with you that the commission did receive, I repeat, the commission did receive its request for a supplemental budget of $3,331,200. However, it was not applied until August. So it will come in the next report. You will see that money applied to the August report. Once again, this is a report of the invoices that we have to date. We are going back to ensure that the invoices that haven't been paid are paid as a result of us now having the supplemental funds and to keep the operations going. So we do have some outstanding invoices that we're still trying to accumulate at this time. Just want to share with you, as of July 31st, we were $657,891.53 in the hole. Just so you have context with regards to the commission's finances. But once again, we did get the money. Obviously, we were not paying bills so that we could stay afloat in terms of complying with the court order. And so, as you notice, you do see some numbers from August. If you remember, the last week of pay as relates to July included August dates. And so they did, if you look at the calendar, July 28th, 29th, 30, and 31 are in the July report, but August 1, 2, and 3 are in the August report. And so that's why you see the August numbers there as a result of the pay period being a split between the July and August. With regards to this, so we're going through with regards to that. So just wanted you to be aware of that. Facilities in terms of the cost to run our meetings. Telecommunications is our phones. The technology is what we do through the state. We have consultants. We have not received the July report yet for our line drawing, where you see two new things that have been added to this particular financial report. Other legal services is the cost to the notice to vacate, the attorney cost that the commission voted at the last meeting. And then we have the public comment analysis. That was for the first phase from the University of Michigan students that did the analysis. Just wanted to share with you with regards to that. The litigation counsel also includes the money for the special masters. Just so we're clear, Baker Hostetler paid for the special masters, and we in turn reimbursed them. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that that cost was included with regards to our litigation counsel. Our local counsel, as you know, is Fink Bresic. We have no promotional contracts with any vendors, so that's why there's no money there. And then our VRA legal counsel, as you know, is E. Mark Braden with regards to that. And then our professional services is working with Insights 3. And then the rest speaks. So just really want to thank, I've been working a lot with Insights 3. I want to reach out and give also a special thanks to the Legislative Services Bureau, Janet Thalen and Lori Kleinfeld with regards to this effort with regards to our finances and getting in order. So just a lot of work being done behind the scenes to get us caught up and to make sure that we're ready to end this fiscal year appropriately and wrap up the commission's work. If there's any questions regarding the financial report, Commissioner Eid, I can take it at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. I do see a hand from Commissioner Lang.
Executive Director Woods, has the commissioner's pay gone back to what it's supposed to be, what it originally was, now that the mapping is done?
Yes, Commissioner Lang, that went back effective with the payroll starting Sunday, July 7th.
Okay, thank you. And then one other question. For the other expenses, you said under legal, there was an expense for the student analysis of the public comment. Is that what you said?
No, the other legal services, Commissioner Lang, specifically relates to the notice to vacate. And then the University of Michigan, which did the aggregate comments and provided that for the commission's consideration in selecting the Senate map, that is called public comments analysis.
Okay, so there was, how much was this public comments analysis? How much did that cost?
$3,023.64.
And when did we vote for that?
That was done by me because it's under $5,000 as it relates to a commission.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions about the financial report, commissioners?
All right. And then in addition, just want to know that you guys should have seen a copy and then we'll put it in the commission report of that Commission 1 of the public comment analysis that was also presented by the students. It was a few page report. And that was also from the lesson learned with regards to, if you remember, we got nearly 30,000 public comments back in 2021. And we were like, how do we aggregate comments so that commission can use that data? And that's what they did with regards to this. So it was a part of our lesson learned report with regards to why we use the U of M students. All right. Thank you very much, Commissioner Eid and members of the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. It's glad to know we have our finances back on track and in accordance with getting this large job complete. Next on the agenda is item 7, approval of the minutes. We have minutes for July 18th that were sent out before this meeting. I hope everyone's had a chance to look at them. Are there any motions or edits pertaining to the approval of minutes for July 18th?
Minutes as presented.
Second.
I did not hear the motion.
Minutes as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Lett. We have a motion to approve the minutes as presented for July 18th, made by Commissioner Lett, seconded by
me.
Seconded by Commissioner Weiss. Thank you, Commissioner Weiss. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes for July 18th, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 All those opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is Executive Director's Report. Mr. Woods, do you have a report today?
Yes, I do, Commissioner Eat.
If there's no objection, Commissioners, I will let Executive Director Woods present his report. Are there any objections? Please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Ede and members of the commission. For the University of Michigan, I reached out via email and shared that they want to do some interviews for the archives and get a testimony of your experience and your participation. Once again, this is optional. I'll be sending out an email with regards today. The dates that they're looking to tape the interviews are Wednesday, August 21st and Monday, August 26th. Once again, Wednesday, August 21st, Monday, August 26th. There will be about 30 minutes in the email that I'll send you today with regards to identifying a time that works best for you. I will be including the information from Tom Ivako, who is working on the project, and you're more than happy to give him a call or email. He will be also sharing with you the updated questions. Last time I gave you a sample of the questions, but he'll be sharing the updated questions that he's planning to have available Friday of this week. So just so you know who's doing the interview, who's conducting at University of Michigan through the close-up. If you have questions with regards to that, with regards to anything along those lines, once again, it is optional. I've heard from most of you, but not all of you. And so if I do not hear from people, I will assume that they do not want to participate and we'll move forward. So just want to make sure that you're aware that this is taking place next week, Wednesday, August 21st, and Monday, August 26th. And once again, we're asking you to schedule 30 minutes of your time with regards to that. And we'll give you lighting requirements and things along that line so that they can work best for you and provide a high quality video for the public to use. And this will be for the archives that are at the University of Michigan with regards to that. So once again, it's just sharing your experience. There's no right or wrong answer, but it's the opportunity for you to do that. Obviously, we expect that the commission will follow its code of conduct. And if comments are deemed by the University of Michigan not to follow the code of conduct, they will be eliminated from the video. Okay, thank you very much. Just want to give you an update on some media documentaries. The Carter Center is wrapping it up. Hadn't heard back from them, but Commissioner Rebecca Zatella and Commissioner Steve Lett participated in this type of interview. It's trying to wrap itself up. I got an email last night. So there's a couple of things that I need to follow up on their end, but that will happen. Many of you know at the Renaissance in Detroit, we have what the equivalent is of the Germany Public Broadcasting System that did some interviews with commissioners for their documentary that they're doing on democracy. So I'm waiting to follow back up on some of their issues. I have not heard from them. So just want to make sure that you're aware with regards to where we are with those two particular documentaries where they interviewed selected commissioners. One of the things that I've been doing is as we're paying bills and looking at contracts is we've done a review of contracts. We've also looked at what each contractor is supposed to provide the commission as it relates to records with regards to the archiving. And I think that there's a need to kind of take a look at these contracts and provide some feedback for the next commission as to best practices and what we need to do or what the other commission needs to do in terms of moving forward. So Commissioner Ede, I would like for the commission to help me with this particular project to ensure best practices in contracting. And I would like to suggest the following commissioners for this project. Commissioner Steve Lett, Commissioner Donna Callahan, and Commissioner
Point of order. I'm sorry, but this goes against everything that we've done in the beginning. Our executive director is repeatedly telling who's going to be on these subcommittees rather than doing it the way that we originally did it, where people volunteer and are voted on. This is highly, I'm done. Never mind. I take back my point of order.
Okay. If there's no point of order, Mr. Woods, please continue.
With regards to that, so as you know, the commissioners selected Commissioner Steve Lett as the legal liaison. The commission has always worked in the past with regards to these items by trying to make sure that we had a representative from each group. And then, as you know, we already have 3 other commissioners that are working on the archive project. So once again, it's the will of the commission. I'm just providing a recommendation. I have no vote, and I will work with whoever the commission designates on this project, but I'm just bringing something to the commission's attention that needs to be done and seriously considered so that the next commission has a better platform, or higher, I should say, can take it to the next level when redistricting takes place again.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Commissioners, are there any motions to establish that subcommittee? For the contract review project?
Yeah, I would make a motion that we establish a subcommittee for the, what is it called again?
We can call it contract review or contract best practices. I think probably contract best practices.
Okay, for the contract best practices subcommittee.
I
And
second that. Oh, sorry.
well, I was going to say, if the commissioners that were listed want to accept that role, then I think it should be them, unless somebody else really wants to do it. So that was Commissioner Lett, Commissioner Callahan. I didn't hear the third.
Commissioner Lett, Commissioner non-affiliate or unaffiliated, Commissioner Callahan, Democrat, Commissioner Muldoon, affiliated with Republican.
Are you 3 willing to do that?
That's fine, I'm willing.
Yeah, I'm willing.
Yes.
And then I would add those names to the motion.
And I second that.
Okay, so we have a motion to establish a contractual best practices subcommittee with Commissioners Lett, Muldoon, and Callahan sitting on said subcommittee. So the motion was made by Commissioner Orton and seconded by Commissioner Andrade. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please raise your hand and say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it, and we have a new subcommittee. I hope that subcommittee helps in assisting Mr. Woods in establishing, best practices for contractual agreements so that future commissions can learn from what we.
Commissioner E, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. And then last but not least, want to remind the commission that we do have chairperson and vice chairperson selection at our next commission meeting in September. That concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Next on the agenda is item 9, legal liaison reports. Commissioner Lett, as our legal liaison, do you have anything for us today?
I have nothing further than what we've already discussed.
Wonderful. With that said, next on the agenda is business item 10, MDOS updates. If there's no objection, commissioners, I'll ask the Michigan Department of State Staff, Megan Shar, if she has an update. Megan, do you first off have anything today?
Just briefly, thank you, Chair. So now that the AG litigation is over, MDOS is cognizant of subsection 18 of the Constitution regarding dormancy. So we're working on what dormancy will look like for our operations. We understand that reports are due this year, so we're eyeing dormancy going into effect in late December. And so we will provide updates as necessary in the future, but just wanted to make you aware that we are working on that on our end.
Wonderful. As this is a new process, we haven't had to kind of go into dormancy before. I'm sure that, we'll work out all the kinks and get it done.
We haven't done anything before.
Yeah, very true. All right, correspondence. Correspondence, if available, was received in advance of our meeting today, along with any public comments that were sent to the commission. Future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items a commissioner would like to have added to the agenda for our September meeting? Seeing none, we'll move to announcements. Are there any announcements, commissioners?
Chair, if there's no others, I will just remind the commission that your next meeting is Thursday, September 19th at 10 a.m. and that is a virtual meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Shar. All right, well, commissioners, as the items on the agenda are complete, the commission has no further business and a motion to adjourn is in order. Are there any motions?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Weiss. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned at 11:33 a.m. Thank you, commissioners. See you all in September.